So, second test ride on this. This is the Titan, and if you watch my last video, you'll know exactly what we're talking about. So, if you haven't seen it, basically the customer said the brakes come on their own, and he lost control and came off the bike. Now the funny thing is, there is no damage to the bar ends, right hand side or left hand side at all. Normally when a bike goes down from the front, from over braking, you would get mirror scuffing, because the mirrors are the furthest thing out on the bike, and panel scuffing. All the scuffing on this bike is on the rear end, indicating it has had a tail slide. So the rear end has lost traction, not the front end. Washing out a front end, the bike would go down front ways on and lean over, thus taking the mirror out. This is all on the rear end. So, you can make your own mind up, and as I said on the previous video, let me know why you think a bike has slid out on the rear end, not the front end, from braking. Now, if it happened to be the front brake and you pull a big hand of front brake, you would get front brake only. That would wash out the front end, bike would go that way or that way. Oh, sorry, horn, and that was what it would do. If you pulled on the rear brake, you would get rear brake plus 30% of the front. This has got what's called combined braking on it. So what would happen? The rear end would come on first, followed by the front end. So it's, I would say, too much rear brake. The brakes are fine. I have been out and done one test ride. I have trail braked this into a corner on the front brake and the rear brake, which is something you should never do, brake in a corner. But we've had it in, we've had a look, we've done a service on it. Now when we pulled the oil, normally you would find when you drop the oil, if it's being ridden correctly, 40 mile an hour, 45, which is 12 o'clock on the dials here. So I'm sitting bang on 45 mile an hour. It has done 464 kilometres, so about 300 miles. If there was a brake issue, it would have shown in the first 100 miles, not 300. So, but obviously when they brought it in, the levers were low, and the AA had basically unclipped the front panel to get the levers moved. Now it did take quite a lot of force for us to pull those levers back up, indicating they were not loose, and obviously the AA didn't go in and adjust any of the levers. But we have a video of it and PDI check, which I always do, showing that the levers were absolutely set up fine. First thing I do, check the levelness of the levers to my hands. I always do that on every bike I ride. So it was all good. But obviously when it came back in, the levers were low. What we also picked up was there is a lot of the chicken strip on the right hand side of the tyre that's been used up. Why would it burn the tyre up just on the right hand side? And there's also a flat spot on the tyre. Nice little circular flat spot round patch, which I've also got on video, indicating that the tyre was scuffed, which would be from braking hard. So make your own minds up on that. I have done one test ride, I am on the second test ride, so we are currently 456, and I'm riding with one hand now, look. So 466 miles in, or 466k in, and we've already cranked up 10 miles on this bike, like I do on every test ride, but we're going to ride it 3 or 4 more times. But as I said, when we drop the oil out, normally if you've been riding at 40 mile an hour, you get a tiny little bit of swarf. When we dropped the oil out on this, there was absolutely humongous loads of swarf came out the sump. Now normally that would indicate that the bike has been run at full bore. Can't prove it, but that is where normally swarf is, because it's bore wear, barrel wear, piston wear. The bike fires up fine. The only issue I have found is when you crank it over, the starter motor does clunk a lot. So we're going to get that in and have a look at why it is doing that. But in my own estimation, I would say the bike's not been ridden correctly. Everything points to incorrect riding styles, or whether the rider needs more training, or whether he's just totally ignoring what I say at 40 mile an hour and just ragging it around. But obviously that is in my own estimation and my own personal view as a motorcycle rider. But the bike runs absolutely fine. There are no issues with it. It's got half a tank of fuel, went out with a full tank of fuel, so obviously used plenty of fuel on it. He's obviously had another top up. Everything works fine, indicators, lights, horn, everything as it would. I've been round, I have bulk checked absolutely everything, and nothing is loose. We've checked the rear caliper, we've checked the rear disc, we've checked the drivetrain, I've checked the front brakes. And what I am going to do is this. Front brake pulls down lovely. Rear brake pulls down lovely. What I would do is now do this. That locks the back end, and that is grabbing the biggest handful of back brake that you can get. That is literally pulling it hard to the bar. I would say over braking or coming too hot into a corner and grabbing the biggest handful of back brake, locking the back end. Whoops, tail slide. That is in my own, but the brakes are fine. Nice and soft, gentle application. As I always say, right hand control, dry day, left hand control, wet day. That is the reason why. So leave your comments down below, let me know what you think. I am asking, or I'm going to open this forum up to the general motorcycle riders that watch my forum or watch my YouTube videos, and members of the public that watch my videos for ride testing. Let me know what you think, why a bike should lock up on the back wheel, because then brakes work fine, absolutely fine. Just the slightest application and just gently squeeze the brakes. Go on, you can filter, I'll let you in. Merge in turn, as they say. But it's normally caused by grabbing a big handful of back brake, and the brakes work absolutely as they should. I've never had an issue with the Titan, and Stuart, that's obviously got the XDV, has had one of these for 52,000 kilometres with no issues whatsoever. There is no brake grab, it's just braking progressively and nice and soft. Unless, of course, you go and snatch at the brakes and grab a big handful, which is normally panic braking. So that is my opinion in my own personal view, but I would love an opinion on this. I can't find a fault with this bike, and 9 times out of 10 when you can't find a fault with the bike, it is normally pointed at rider error. Newrider. So we are going to rack this round to about 475 or so, get some more miles, get out. I am soaking wet and I can't be bothered now. Been wet since about 10 o'clock this morning, and already got a couple of more ride tests to do. Oh, let me just go out. If I get wet, I get wet. I'm already soaked to the skin. Should have put my guard jacket on really, but I've got me works jacket on, I've got my overalls on underneath, and I've got obviously my Kevy armour, which is soaking up the water so it's not coming through to the skin. But we're going to crank up a few more miles and hard in on the front, hard in on the rear brake then, just to see if it does lock up, which it doesn't. Progressive braking, gentle squeeze, 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 apply, apply, apply. But the bike is riding absolutely fine. And nice steady speeds, 469, coming around for the 470. So we're going to do one more circuit round the estate, keeping it local. Not that I need to keep it local, but nice discreet mileage in case anything untoward. But everything is riding absolutely fine. Corner's nice, tyre pressures are good, 32 in the front, 34 in the rear. And I could kill for a pint right now. I did have a couple of swigs of my coffee, but I shall have some more when I get back. But other than that, the bike is riding fine, not locking up at all. gentle braking. Right, we're going to come in and we're going to do a lefty left here. Right, look down, squeeze that front brake and apply the throttle and let off. There we go. Trail brake. In on the rear, hard, no, nothing at all. It progressively brakes, it does not lock up. It only brakes, only locks up obviously when you grab the biggest handful of rear brake that you can get hold of, and I've shown that at a low speed because I don't want to scuff the tyres. But obviously on my last video there was a huge flat spot. Back round again, and we're going to do a left here. In on the rear brake this time, big squeeze, nothing, just progressively brakes, you can feel the back end come down. And rolling into the corner and away, giving it a bit of power, nothing from the back end at all, no slide. And good old headwind, loads of rain coming down, camera's probably wet. I'll give the lens a wipe in a second. There we go. Wipe off the lens. But no spluttering, nothing from the engine at all. The engine is absolutely bomb-proof on these things. It's progressively braking, rear brake again, wet day, and grab hard. Bike does not lock. So that was a big handful. Obviously, you do that, snatch at the, give it a big handful and snatch at it, it will, but the front end pulls down at the same time. That is the idea of a combined braking system. Another illegal number plate for me to, yeah, and wrong lane. So back to the garage we go, another test ride done, 471, 472 on the clock now. Another lot of mileage under the belt, bike is behaving as it should, even low speed handling. Rolling with the feet up. Bike handles fine at low speed, which is normally, if something, you had an issue or took your hands off the bars like that, there we go. Bike would wander, it doesn't, it pulls in a straight line. Which is one of the tests you can do, just gently keep hold of the bars, keep them in your hands, but just lift off the bars and just see if it carries on in a straight line. That's the quickest way to check if your bike is out of alignment. Big handful of rear brake there, nothing, does not lock. Right, test ride complete, back to the garage, coffee and smoke. Whatever you're doing, as always, be well, ride safe, and from RB, it's a big goodbye from me.